something?
Yeah. Hey.
All right. Welcome to class, everybody. Thank you for coming on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon. My name is Michael Hirsch.
I'm Allison.
Bryce.
Danny. And Cody.
And we are the Fantastic Five. We will be covering the first part of Chapter 10. Right, here's the objectives that we'd like you to know. Also a little, some questions to ask yourself as we're going through the presentation. What is conflict? What are the benefits of conflict? What is the destructive and constructive conflict? And what are the 5 different styles of conflict? For those who are writing down, you don't need to write them down just yet. We'll be going over them more so as the presentation goes along. And at the very end, we'll be comparing styles.
Okay. I'm going to talk about the definition of conflict. Conflict is an expressed struggle between parties who interfere with each other's goals and obtaining goals and making sure they don't achieve those goals. There's 3 different ways that you can express conflict. First is directly, with just shouting, swearing, face-to-face contact. Second is going to be indirectly. You're exchanging messages, so written emails, text messages, snail mail, anything that's not like face-to-face. You're not actually talking to them. And third is going to be nonverbal. The main one's going to be vandalism, so you're not hurting them, like talking to them or over mail, but you're still hurting their property. And conflict occurs and involves, it occurs between 2 parties, so 2 parties that you just produce consequences between each other. It involves perceived incompatible goals, so goals that they want to achieve, but really there's no way that they can achieve them. They're so far out there that it's not going to happen. And it also involves interference from each other, so they're going to interfere with each other and try to interfere with their goals, so their goals don't get achieved and they're unattainable at all. And would you guys think that there's any benefits to conflict at all?
The more you participate, the more you get candy.
Stimulates change.
Well, Bryce is actually going to talk about some of the benefits that conflict has.
Yep. Like I said, I'm going to talk about benefits conflict. As you guys may be thinking, benefits conflict, right when I started first reading, I'm like, there's no benefits conflict, I hate conflict, I'm going to avoid it. Not the case after I read it. Most conflict seems to be destructive because the group is poorly managed. If you have a poorly managed group, conflict is not going to go over well. Things aren't going to be done the way they should be done. Next is low levels or no conflict can lead to groupthink. You obviously don't want groupthink because it discourages creativity or members in a group. Ways to like fix this would be, say you are arguing or having a conflict in your guys' group and you don't agree with somebody. Maybe make a better point, defend your argument or why you think it's better, and say, I don't like yours because it doesn't follow the rules. It doesn't have this step. We need this step in it. Next would be moderate amounts of conflict can be constructive if it is managed correctly. Obviously, you want it to be managed correctly, then conflict will be good in your group. Things will get done after the conflict. You guys won't hate each other after it's all said and done with. So now, why do you guys think conflict is good in you guys' groups or overall in your workplace? Have you guys had conflict that turned out well? Yeah?
Think of new ideas. Like when you have conflicts.
Yep, that's one of the reasons. Definitely. Anybody else? Yeah.
Like if you ask someone what's wrong, they're like, oh, nothing, but they say like, oh, sad like, and then you know something's wrong. If you
that always happens.
Resolve it,
Yep.
then you just like feel bad about yourself.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, similar to what Tyler said, like if you let people just bottle things up and they don't communicate clearly with you, then it will probably be negative conflict. But if you have the guts, I guess, to go up and say, here's what I think is wrong or here's what I think we need to change, it'll be more constructive, open communication rather than the destructive part of it.
Exactly. Yep.
So say it can develop a mutual respect in the group and actually bring people closer together when it's resolved well, because you can realize that you can conflict and still be respected.
Yep, that's right. So, the book talks about 4 positives. All what you guys said are right. There's obviously more than 4, but the book goes over these 4 here. Conflict can promote creative problem solving and create new ideas if it's managed correctly. You guys are gonna have more ideas coming in from more people in the group. Next would be conflict can encourage power balancing. Next is conflict can promote groupthink. Obviously, you don't want groupthink in your group. Try to prevent that. And then conflict can have positive changes that promote individual and group growth. Overall, conflict will bring your guys' group closer together, more powerful, more balanced, and have a better group overall. And now I'm gonna have Cody talk about destructive conflict.
All right, so destructive conflict. There are 6 characteristics of this conflict. It's competing, defensive, dominating, meaning like you want to be the guy that is the best. You do it right. You are the one that figures everything out. Escalating, which would mean taking something that's not really that serious and just blowing it completely out of proportion. Then there's inflexible and retaliating, which would be obviously getting back at somebody for doing something you didn't like. When conflict spirals out of control, they push conflicts to unmanageable levels. Usually, it's pretty much like when you fight with one of your girlfriends or boyfriends. Usually, it's over nothing, and then it blows up, and eventually you're yelling, and it's not even really words. Becoming physically or verbally aggressive moves conflict into destructive territory. Well, I mean, as soon as you start throwing punches, I'm sure there's going to be some conflict. And we have a video of this too, please, which kind of shows all the different characteristics of conflict. You'll see this throughout the video. Hope there's not a...
So, why you pick this class anyway? It's pretty hard. Oh, beautiful view. All right.
All right, all right. Y'all shut up now. Now, last week, we talked about the physiology of the animal brain as it pertains to aggression. Now, is there anyone here that can tell me why most alligators are abnormally aggressive?
I know the answer to this question. Raise your hand.
Anybody? Anyone? Yes or you, sir?
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Your mama said alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush. Wow. Anybody else? Yes or you, sir?
Alligators are aggressive because of an enlarged medulla oblongata. It's the sector of the brain which controls aggressive behavior.
That is correct. The medulla oblongata.
But Mama said...
The medulla oblongata is where anger, jealousy, and aggression come from. Now, is there anybody here can tell me where happiness comes from? No. Anyone? All right. Let's hear what Mama has to say on the subject.
Mama say that happiness is from magic rays of sunshine that come down when you're feeling blue.
Well, folks, Mama's wrong again.
No, Colonel Sanders, you're wrong. Mama's right.
Mama's right. Something wrong with his medulla oblongata.
I think we both wanted to do that at one point.
Right. Well, since you've seen that video, would you guys be able to put any of these characteristics into play? Do you see any of the characteristics being played out in there?
Very defensive.
Definitely. How every time he says something, then the professor's just got to tear him apart right away.
Escalating for sure. Way
Right. Yeah. And then definitely retaliating too, just because he ended up tackling his teacher is probably not the smartest move. So, okay. Madison, please. Now we have constructive conflict. 5 characteristics to this conflict is cooperative, de-escalating, which would be the opposite. Instead of maybe handling it like tackling him, maybe he could have just walked up to him later on and been like, okay, yeah, that wasn't the nicest thing you've ever, or the best way to handle it. Flexible, supportive, and we-oriented. This is a better way of doing it just because me is not gonna get you anywhere. You're not asking for creative ideas, where you ask questions like, well, what do you think, do you think this would be the best way to handle the situation, or do you have any other better ideas for it? The focus is trying to achieve a solution between struggling parties, and this allows people to maintain a relationship while agreeing to disagree, where usually, obviously, both parties are wanting two opposite things, but hopefully they can come together and collaborate on this solution and work together. Does anybody have any examples of constructive conflict that they've had? That'd be kind of cool if everybody just get in their groups and think of a few ideas, and then we'll go around and ask what you guys think. Just take a couple minutes.
Well, I don't think about it on the side, so if I have a problem with someone, and then that sounds like really bad. See, I used to do that, and then it just got scroll once in a while. So now I just learned out from time to
Like competition where we're driven to
All right. So we'll just take a example from every group. So what do you guys have to think?
Well, I think we just had a conflict right now.
Please explain.
Well, I was trying to tell a story and she's laughing at me, and then I said, I really don't appreciate that, and she said, I agree. And so we understood each other.
Right. That's cooperative.
Right. What about this group over here?
We understood, like, when we take our tests, like, how you don't agree on the answer, like, you talk about it, and, like, you're cooperative and flexible and talking to each other, and then you come up with an answer at the end.
Perfect.
Group in the back.
Yeah, so Jay hasn't done anything for group presentation, and so it's been getting really frustrating because he just sits there and like eats the whole time while we're doing stuff, and it's like, Jay, come on, you gotta do stuff. And so we've been trying to get him to do it, and finally what we did, we had to take away the food, and then
now you're getting food.
Now it is hard at it. How about you?
Well, I don't like to keep things bottled up inside, so I usually speak my mind to whomever I have the conflict with, and that way I don't explode once in a while and get angry at people.
That's kind of like the de-escalating, how you take instead of building up all the anger, you just let it out right away, and you don't have to deal with it later.
Exactly.
All right, and I guess now I'm gonna let Danny take it away.
All right. Next, we're gonna be talking about the 5 ways, or 5 different styles of conflict management. First is collaborating, which is a win-win approach to the conflict. And next is accommodating, which is a style that yields to the concerns and desires of others. Next is compromising style, which is where we give something to get something. And avoiding is a communicating style of withdrawing from unpleasant struggles. And then the last style is competing, which is a win-lose approach, basically where you force your will onto others. And lastly, we're going to compare the styles to decide which is likely to be most successful. And pay attention, because after we discuss all these, we'll be doing a group activity.
All right, the first is collaborating. This person who collaborates needs a high concern for both task and social relationships in a group. They're not just concerned about getting the task done, they also want people to come together, which is also a win-win situation. I'm sure you've all heard that. They want each person that they talk to accept what is happening, or accept the outcome of the decision. In this style, there are 3 key components I'll be going over. The first is confrontation, then integration, and then smoothing. All right, integration. This technique devises creative solutions that are mutually satisfactory for all parties in a conflict. All right, this is where, let's say this side of the group wants cheesecake for, you know, dessert, and you guys want apple pie. Well, we have to come up with a solution to try to, you know, let everyone get a little bit of something, something, right? So I'm thinking that we all just mush it all together, so that's gonna be kinda good. Alright, now it helps in this situation, it helps have a negotiator. It's not always the best because sometimes the negotiator might be in it for his own game. Maybe I like cheesecake more. And so I'd be like, well, you know, maybe this side of the group looks a little bit bigger, so maybe we should go with cheesecake. So they might be in it for their own gain. So you want to make sure that whoever you have as a negotiator you trust, and someone who's doesn't have a stake into their claim.
I have a good example of that. Definitely would be the professor when we were doing that straw thing, when we were building that thing. Obviously, he was just getting too much enjoyment from ratting away cages by offering side bets to everybody. So that's probably not a good way of integrating. Probably not the best negotiator.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yes.
For the negotiators, like, wouldn't that side have a negotiator and you have a negotiator and then they would?
Well, in this style conflict, there'd be one person. That's how this is the first step in or this is actually the second step in that process of using collaboration. And yeah.
So would it be like a third party who's not involved?
Right.
So like,
Hopefully,
let's
yes.
say you were the third party,
Mhm.
like, and you wouldn't be coming to the event, so you wouldn't even get to eat the cheesecake or the apple pie.
Possibly not. Yes. But this person, the collaborator, would come in and he would be like, okay, I see the issue, which is actually the next step you saw that. Confrontation. So you would address the issue right away. All right. It's the over recognition that a conflict exists in a group and the direct effort to manage it properly. It's what you're saying. Like I'll be like, well, okay, you guys both want dessert, right? So we can both have dessert. It's that confrontation of, all right, there's an issue here, and now we're going to take care of it effectively. And this isn't like, I know Pitcher's kind of throwing it off a little bit, but it's not direct confrontation. It's not violent. It's this assertiveness. You're just being the assertive one to address the issue. Because sometimes, you know, we just want to, avoid it at all costs. Like, oh, it's not my thing. But it's better. In the collaborating style, you would address it right away, and you would bring it up. The purpose is to manage conflict in a productive way for all parties involved. I just said that. Now, issues are worth confronting. Sometimes you just got the small stuff go. You know, let's say Allison was stealing Beth's lunch at work or something. You know, you might not want to bring it up. You might not want to be like, Beth, we have an issue here, right? Allison says this. You maybe want to go up, on your own and say, all right, I've heard some rumors that you've been taking people's lunch. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But it doesn't need that assertive confrontation. Groups have to decide which issue and concerns are priorities and which are not. Now, if Beth is stealing Allison's lunch and the building's on fire, you're not going to want to stay in the building. You're going to want to get out. So you have to, it's a little out there, but it's there, right? So you have to take priorities. You have to make sure that that you're addressing the key issues first before you get to the stuff that that can be pushed off to a little bit later, can be addressed later. Right. And smoothing. The act of calming the ignited feelings of group members during a conflict episode. Now this is where you both want dessert. You're like, well, so we mush it all together, and so you have a cream apple pie or a cheese apple pie. All right, you get a little bit of both. You can pick out the stuff you don't like. So hopefully you guys like them both. You can get a little bit of what you want. Another key thing that I think maybe guys aren't as good about as girls are, but I'm saying I'm sorry. That's very important. We hear it a lot, and it sometimes maybe is overused. But when used in the right context and used in the right way, it's very powerful. A simple "I'm sorry" can diffuse a situation greatly. If all it really took for Beth or Allison to be okay with Beth taking her lunch, maybe like, I'm sorry, I'm not okay with it, but for the situation to smooth over, it's a simple "I'm sorry." That's a good way to go. Another one, if there's a little bit more pressure, a little more aggressiveness, you can use that assertiveness in the confrontation stage, and say, hey, let's all calm down. Attacking each other won't help us find a solution. Calming emotional storm opens up the way to calming the emotional storm opens the way to confronting conflict and brainstorming for a better solution. So once the conflict has been settled, once we're all, kind of okay with the solution that was brought up, now we can open up to more. Now we can keep going. Now we can actually be productive once it's all settled. All right. And collaborating is just kind of overview what we just talked about. All right. Now, why is this not always used in groups? For you guys, let me get like 2 or 3 examples of why maybe this isn't always used. Remember this, Candy? Go for it.
Decisions need to be made quickly.
There you go.
Because it's either or, you can't have both.
Sometimes you need, sometimes there just can't be, a solution for both. And sometimes you just need to let a person just lead, kind of do the thing. Because sometimes people just need to decompress before they can really open up and come to a compromise. Sometimes it's difficult. Thank you. Anyone else? One more? One more? Yeah.
Well, one of the people may not be easy to get along and communicate with, may be bossy and you just don't like working with them or try to collaborate.
Very true. Very true. Thank you very much. All right, next. All right, like I said before, a negotiator, you want someone that has trust, that you have trust in, someone that's not in it maybe for their own gain. Yeah. Sometimes group members don't share the same emotional investment. Finding a feasible solution. That's what you're talking about before. Is sometimes you just gotta. Maybe they're not invested. Maybe he wants to eat more than study and for your upcoming thing. Sometimes this kind of happens. Sometimes you just kind of gotta let it go a little bit and decompress yourself. Maybe you're getting a little too emotional into the issue yourself. All right. Next, I'm gonna give it over to Allison.
Okay. The next style is gonna be accommodating, and it's yielding. So it yields to the concerns and desires of others. This is more like the caring person, maybe like more of the women that are actually worrying about the group. It has high and low concerns, which means it has a high concern of the social relationships of the group. They care about having, getting along, meeting, knowing about their life, and really getting personal with them. And it has a low concern of getting the task accomplished. It doesn't matter if they're like catching up on the weekend, their activities, and what they did. If the task isn't getting done, that's fine with them. It doesn't matter. They want to maintain an appearance of harmony, which means they want to make sure that everyone around them knows that their group's the best, they're working together, they have a good relationship together, so they really care about what other people think of them. Also, tasks are given out poorly, so like if Bryce is really good at putting a PowerPoint together, he knows all the special effects, and he won't be given that task at all. Michael could be, and he could be like maybe the worst person, doesn't even know how to use PowerPoint, so tasks are given out poorly, and then by this, productivity is not going to be accomplished at all. Everything's going to slow down, and it could take Michael 3 times as long to do the PowerPoint than it would for Bryce. And lastly, less powerful members are expected of more than the powerful members, so kind of like the last thing I said, so Mike may not be that great, he could be the slacker, but he's going to be given most of the work to do. They're going to be giving all the things that are the main categories in the group activity, while Bryce, he's going to be just sitting back, relaxing, not doing too much at all. And next we're going to talk about compromising.
So compromising is a style of conflict management that gives up something to get something. It is known as a lose-lose style of conflict. You gotta give something up, you're not really winning there, and then you might have to compromise to get the other thing that's not even that good. So it is choosing the middle ground. You don't wanna choose the middle ground all the time. You always wanna be happy, you wanna choose the best thing possible. Next, someone using the style tends to show some level of concern for both task and social relationships in groups. And then in the end, there are both positive and negative reactions. How? Well, some examples are, let's say, there's a 4-person family, or there's 4 people in the family, mom, dad, 2 brothers, Bob and Bill. parents say, okay, we can get a dog, or we can get a pet, we all want a pet. Bob, Bill, you guys just choose the pet. I was like, yes, finally, we can get a dog. I want to go play fetch, I want to go swimming with it, I want to go hunting, all this fun stuff with the dog. Bill's like, dude, I'm not getting a dog, I want a rabbit. Dogs are too much work, poop everywhere, gotta pick it all, too much work, don't have time. Rabbits just play in the cage, so cute. Have some fun with the rabbit, you know. This is an example where they gotta compromise, figure out what pet they want, see which is best for their family, gotta figure out the problem. So they're both getting a pet, but what pet they're gonna get, they have to compromise to get. Another example, in you guys' group, say there's a 5-page paper due in 2 weeks. There's 4 people in the group, 2 people say, okay, we gotta get it done this week, I got finals coming up, got a big presentation. And then the other 2 are like, no, I wanna do it next week, I got too much going on, gotta go to work, got a hot date tonight. So you guys gotta compromise on the time, you guys are gonna get together to do this group paper. Another win, or like kind of a lose-lose, you gotta do it. Maybe compromise in the middle, find a time to do it when you guys all can meet. Maybe it's not the first week or second, right in the middle. So that's compromising.
All right, thanks, man. Now I have avoiding, which would be described as withdrawing. Communication, or the definition of this would be a communication style of withdrawing from potential contentious and unpleasant struggles. Someone who shows little concern for both task and social relationships. So kind of like Bryce was saying, you know, the conflict, like you might not want to do exactly or collaborate on the situation, but these people seem to avoid it, and they don't care about the social relationships that they have with people. You know, they're going to be the person that kind of sits more towards the back and doesn't say much, and just every time somebody brings out an idea, I'd be like, no, I don't know if I want to do that. Sometimes avoiding the conflict might be a desirable course of action, though. A perfect example of that would be like a bully. You know, they always say stand up to your bully in school, but you do that, you might get your lights knocked out. So maybe not the best idea. And then with my picture, it says avoid problems and you'll never be the one who overcame them. That's by Richard Bachman. I thought that was a really good picture just because this is exactly how somebody who avoids situations would do it. Just kind of sneaky, just kind of slide out, you know, without anybody noticing. Okay.
Alright, well, I got competing, and competing is a style, is communicated in a variety of ways, which is likely to be destructive conflict. A couple examples are threats, criticism, contempt, and hostile remarks. Also with that would be jokes, sarcasm, ridicule, intimidation, fault finding, blaming, and denial of responsibility. Competing as a task comes first type style. It's very aggressive, it's not assertive. It's a me not we orientated type deal. Making friends comes second. And when groups do not function properly, blame often occurs. Most energy then goes into defending ourselves rather than finding out who's at fault and figuring out the problem. Video.
DiGiorno or delivery? DiGiorno or delivery? Taste for yourself why the shortest distance between you and a delicious fresh baked pizza is your oven. Thankfully, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Anybody's hungry?
And fat kids, Rodriguez.
Shut your mouth, Phillips.
What'd you say, crap face? I said you shouldn't even be allowed to touch a baseball. Except for Rodriguez, you're all an insult to the game. Come on! We'll take you on right here, right now! Come on! Yeah, right now! Good plan, reveal Diamond Porter. You ain't good enough to lick the dirt off our cleats. Watch it, jerk. Shut up, idiot. Moron! Scab eater. Butt sniffer. Hustler. licker, fart smeller. You eat dog crap for breakfast, geek. You make your weed with your mama's toe jam. Yeah! You bop for apples in the toilet, and you like it. You play ball like a girl. What did you say? You heard me. Tomorrow, noon, at our field. Get the buffalo butt breath. Come on, pea drinking crap face. Yeah!
Alright, now you guys seen that video to what I said? Does anyone have any like examples of the competing, of how it relates to that video?
It's been in a sport.
They were threatening each other and calling each other names.
Yep,
Really
anyone else?
aggressive.
Very aggressive. Anyone else? Anyone else have any like real examples? Or like, well, example that we kind of came up as a group was like a competing style in the workplace. Like Buckle, they have, they're paid on commission, so they're fighting for like the next customer, and they're very aggressive. I don't think they really care about who their coworkers, because they're based on commission. The advantages of the competing style is it eliminates the troublemaker in a group. So if the troublemaker has no signs of letting up, it revitalizes the group, and the progress will proceed because the troublemaker is out of the group. And also, it's task oriented, so the task comes first, and you get a lot done when you're in a competing style environment.
All right, now we're going to be comparing styles.
Go ahead.
All right, as a general rule, research clearly favors some conflict styles over others, even though more than one style may be needed to be used over the course of a conflict. The collaborating method is suggested way more than the avoiding method. It's the most collaborative. It gives the best outcomes for both sides, more so than the others, but it's not always the one that should be used. There are situations where others need to be used instead. All right, we seem to use the least effective styles most often to manage conflicts in groups. Now, collaborating is a very complex style. It's really hard to get all three parts in there, especially when a group is heated. Maybe even you're emotionally involved as well. And so maybe you're not thinking clearly, maybe you're not really using your right mind, and so you'll avoid, or maybe you'll go too far into it and be too aggressive. All right, when and how the style is used must also be figured into the equation. Sometimes maybe you need to step back and you need to avoid the situation. Sometimes maybe you do. Maybe sometimes you need to be a little bit more aggressive. Right? Competing and power forcing is a style of last resort, except when decisive action must be taken and decision has no place. That's like the building's on fire. Everyone needs to get out right now. Like there's no real decision. It needs to happen right now. Like it says, it's the last resort. You know, if things are getting really heated, if maybe fists are about to start flying, maybe there needs to be that person that steps and says, hey, separate. You know, or you know, grab your friend and say, no. You know, don't do that. All right, now it's time for the classroom activity. All right, everyone's gonna be an actor today. What we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be counting you off into fours. So you're not gonna be in your normal group, you're gonna be in a new group. All right? And we are gonna be giving you a skit to do. Each group will be given a skit they will act out in front of the whole class. Each person will be given a conflict management style that they will have to use to help the group. At the end of the skit, the class has to decipher who had what conflict management style. Each person will be given a card that will have your conflict management style on it, and the backstory is mostly on the slide. But the card is also for you to put in maybe what you're gonna say, all right? And so these examples are a little ridiculous, but they're meant to, all right? So I'm gonna count you out from the fours, all right? So 1's be in this corner, 2's be in this one, 3's over there, and then 4's over here, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we'll be helping you. There'll be one of us in each of your groups, and so we'll be helping you kind of get your skate in order.
Over here, right, guys? Yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, let's do that. I don't know if you guys have any questions or.
So here is your skit that you guys are doing. Alright, what style you have, you can collaborate with your friends, with the group members, it doesn't need to be secret, you just need to be secret for class. So you collaborate on one.
Okay, so
I'm not looking for like a half hour, monologue from somebody. But it just needs to be maybe 2 or 3 and that kind of shows your unique style and how you're gonna assist, collaborate. If you have any questions, let me know.
You and your group are on a organic adventure. You discover an apple down in the sea and a yellow stone. You yourself Bob and this by give us your build a motor that you destroyed while testing for its license with Mr. It's So I have an avoidance style.
So kind of got to think, what would an avoider do in this situation? It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, why you don't know how to see? So it could be like, maybe the avoider would say something like, how would you use that style in this situation?
What are you guys doing again?
I have a common aim. Basically, I'd be comfortable finding more of trying to get to know this guy. So social relationships you want to have in the cast of them. I don't want to
be alone.
I don't know. Mine is trying to
That's
So I guess we gotta we gotta get the scenario clear to the class, right?
Well, the scenario will be on a slide. So they'll be able to read what your scenario is, and so you just need to act it out.
So we all need to
Everybody's got to say at least one. Yeah, 1 or 2 lines. But yeah, it's like you are that style in this particular this conflict that you have. You need to do this. What would you say something like, well, maybe in case when they do it for work, maybe we don't do it.
Do you want to be sponsed up?
No.
Okay, well, let's do that. That works.
It's a win-win.
Alright, everyone had a little time to talk about what they're going to say? Now, because of the time crunch, we're maybe going to have 1, maybe 2 go. So a couple groups are going to have to, not do it. But I'm going to look for volunteers first. Who wants to go?
Oh,
Which skit do you have? Alright, number 1.
Alright, so this is their situation. Please stand up. Alright, I'm gonna be Adam. Alright, our skit is Adam Alligator needs a toothbrush for a hot date tonight. He only has enough money for the movie and he asks his favorite group to help him out, and I'm gonna be Adam. May I have a toothbrush?
No, man, I got a hot day. This is my toothbrush.
May I have a toothbrush?
What can you give me? Like your PlayStation for the night or something?
I don't know, man. Can I have a toothbrush?
I'm trying to catch, I believe.
Can I have a toothbrush?
For sure.
There we go. Can I have a toothbrush?
Well, I think that we could all chip in, get your toothbrush, and then later maybe you could cook dinner for all of us.
Ooh, that works as well.
Alright, wonderful. Thank you.
So in this scenario, who was the collaborating type of approach?
Michelle.
Yeah.
The competing?
But she was compromising.
That was me.
Yeah, you
Right? Yeah. What's the other style conflicts?
Accommodating.
Who's accommodating?
Who's accommodating?
She was.
And
Avoiding.
Brandon.
Compromising with.
The place
Jay.
is Jay.
Yep. Awesome. All right, another group that wants to volunteer. You guys. You want? What's the name?
Ed, and Eddie.
Ed and Eddie one. Yeah, that
All right, so the situation is your group is at a local pub seeking a nice night out of fun and dancing. A local trio called Ed and Eddie asks you for help to find them jawbreakers. All right, so I'll be Eddie. Oh, all of them, I guess. Can you help me find some jawbreakers?
I bet I'll find them first.
Can you help me find some jawbreakers?
Well, I don't know. Maybe some of us want to stay at the club, and then maybe we might end up going and getting our jawbreakers later.
Can you help me find some jawbreakers?
It might not be safe for us to go find jawbreakers.
Can you help me find some jawbreakers?
How about we go find jawbreakers, then come back to the club and dance?
All right, wonderful, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
That was perfect.
That was perfect? All right, one more. Can you help me find jawbreakers? No. All right, thank you very much. All right, so who had the accommodating style? She did. She did. Who had the avoiding? Awesome. Compromising? Bad. Yeah. All right. And competing. Wonderful. All right, we go.
2 more minutes.
2 more minutes.
So, do you guys think that it was easier to do these skits with different groups, or would you have rather had it that it would have been with your normal groups?
I thought I liked it, switching it up a little bit. I was like, whoa, new task orientation here.
Definitely.
Okay.
Was there any conflicts at all in between the groups? Like since you guys aren't in your normal groups? Nothing?
Everyone worked out pretty good? No conflicts? Because there was a hidden agenda underneath this whole skit deal here. We wanted to put you into new groups so you would have some conflict, and you would see how maybe this can help you if you go into new groups, into other classes. So as you were working out, like, oh no, we have to stand up in front of the class to do this, like you were kind of working out, all right, there may be someone be like, okay, we need to, we get this done, or okay, what are we going to do here? You kind of see that conflict as when there's stress involved in your groups. So. All right, thank you very much. Who wants candy? I got plenty of yes.
That's good job.